Welcome to Coming Attractions. I'm your host, Jay Sherman. Thank you. Tonight, we review an aging Charles Bronson in Death Wish 9.
I wish I was dead. Hey.
We're talking about Charles Bronson today, so I'm going to have to talk about my mum.
Yeah.
Big Charles Bronson fan. But from now on, I'm going to be referring to her as Good Mother.
I like that.
Yeah. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Man, it's been a weird day or two, hasn't it?
It's been a fucking shite day or two.
Yeah, we've lost two of the soundest people ever.
Well, look, obviously we're on a cold open here, but we're just gonna rap for a little bit, if you will, as the dream would say. But this is a kind of a off topic, I suppose. So I thought we'd discuss it beforehand. But we're recording this on the Friday after the Thursday, where we lost both Christopher Lee, a Canon Films alumnus, and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And
frankly, I'm not sure which one I'm more upset about.
Well, it's kind of weird. Christopher Lee will start off with. Lee, of course, starred in House of Long Shadows, which was a dream project of Menachem Golan's when he got to America. And we haven't discussed that yet, obviously.
I'm looking forward to that one. That might be a Halloween episode. But
could be. Christopher Lee sadly passed away at the age of 93. Christopher Lee was one of my favourite actors, hands down. He started, my kind of fandom of him... Oh, fandom, Jesus Christ.
Oh my god, it's Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he was my one true pairing. But
just him.
Just him. Good brother who edits the show. He and myself once sat down and tried to catalogue what the most metal things in the history of the world were. And number one was General Zod in the Superman suit.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking metal.
But number two was just Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
And that meant the most metal real world thing.
Absolutely.
Is Christopher Lee.
I said it on... I posted up a little tribute to him online, and I said in it that man got more fucking living in than just about anyone who's ever existed.
No doubt about it. I mean, as I said, for me, it started when I was a kid. There's a film called Mio in the Land of Far Away.
Yeah. And
not a lot of people will probably know about this movie.
I'm not familiar with it myself.
It's a Norwegian fantasy kids movie. But it's got a hell of a cast, because not only is Christopher Lee in it, but Christian Bale is in it as well.
Really?
Yeah, he's a kid, but...
Yeah.
It's this weird kind of... He plays Kato, this evil knight, did Christopher Lee, and he was just this creepy old fucking evil dude, and that was kind of his gamut for a while. I mean, obviously when I became a teenager and whatever, I got into his his Hammer horror movies. But what was so cool about Christopher Lee was, and I didn't notice that's who he was when I was watching Mio and Land of Far Away. It's not like I was sitting down going, well, I only watch films with quality casts.
Yeah, of course.
I went, Land Before Time 4, fucking get in.
Get in.
But,
no, I actually can't support that one. Land Before Time is my absolute pet peeve of a franchise.
You know what I mean? It's just, any old shite will do.
Oh, absolutely.
Then for The Last Dinosaur, fuck yeah. But, yeah, when, years later then I got into his Hammer work, and, I mean, I love Bela Lugosi. Right, and Bela Lugosi's probably my favourite Dracula, but I kind of have to say that Christopher Lee was the best Dracula.
Yeah,
that guy just brought so much menace to that role.
We had an argument about this a few weeks back about who was the best Dracula.
Yeah,
we were both in agreement. Richard Roxburgh was the worst.
Oh yeah,
because he was fucking awful.
Someone should have actually staked that fucking idiot.
And he's not a bad actor generally. But
I know, but
God
he's
damn, he was fucking awful in that.
Awful.
You know, he is number one.
Oh yeah,
I mean by a country mile.
And he was like Bela Lugosi was amazing in the original Dracula. But Lee was just outstanding in all of the Dracula films he was in. And the Satanic Rites of Dracula, I think, is the greatest name any film's ever had.
Yeah, it's definitely up there anyways.
Yeah,
well, I remember the first film I saw once again, it's kid's memory now.
Yeah.
He made this film in like the early 90s called A Feast at Midnight.
Oh, okay.
And it was about this young kid who gets sent away to like a boarding school, not unlike Hogwarts.
Yeah.
And only without the magic and shit, obviously.
Yeah.
But Christopher Lee he's like the stuffy old headmaster in this.
Yeah.
And I remember I only saw this when I was like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember being just full on intimidated by this guy.
Well, that was the thing. Even before I really knew who he was, obviously I didn't. Right, but I didn't know that he was Cato, right? The guy I watched in Mio and the Land of Far Away. But I remember my mother and my aunts and my uncles and all that would talk about him in hushed tones, like he was Sauron. Because he was
he who shall not be named.
Yeah. Like, oh, Dracula, Christopher Lee, the Prince of Darkness. Oh my God! Like they get terrified talking about him, because to their generation, that guy was fucking terrifying.
Well, you can watch that shit and it still holds up. He is terrifying.
Dracula, Prince of Darkness, Dracula is Risen from the Grave. Like, these are some of the best horror movies at that time. The Devil Rides Out, which is this amazing fucking occult satanic film where he actually plays the hero.
Yeah.
The Skull, another movie he's great in. Like, him and Peter Cushing and guys like that. Like, it's Frankenstein, of course, Frankenstein. Like, these movies are just classics. And the cool thing about Christopher Lee was he was like the Ramones or Anvil or something like that. These were bands who were kind of critically dismissed when they were in their primes and kind of forgotten about, but their fans went on to basically take what they'd done and do it bigger.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Christopher Lee was an amazing actor who just laid it out every time he came on screen. But what I'm saying is, like, the Hammer horror films were praised as genre pictures, but he himself wasn't a critical darling. Yeah. And what was cool was when the kids who loved his movies grew up, that's when he again got all of his acclaim, because George Lucas, Tim Burton, Peter Jackson, guys like this were like, yeah, this guy's the fucking man.
And they were fucking right.
And they put him in all their movies. And
the thing about Christopher Lee, he had a bit of Michael Caine about him, in that he was in some absolute dreck.
Oh, the Howling 2.
Oh, Christ. No, but here's the mark of a good actor. He took whatever pablum shite that people gave him, and he made it work. Most of the time now. Some of it was irredeemable.
I refer you to the Howling 2.
Yes, exactly. But like, more often than not, he made shit scripts work.
Oh yeah.
And if you can do that, you have some real talent.
Well, even the Dracula Prince of Darkness, he turned up, read the script, and went, you know what? I hate all the dialogue in this, so I'm just going to play the part mute. And he's the most interesting character in the whole film. Yeah. He doesn't say one word.
Because like the man we're going to be discussing later, he just has a physicality and like a gravitas that very few people have, and you can't fake it. Yeah. It's one of those things, you know, you can be as fucking pumped as Chris Hemsworth or whatever, but if you can't move like he can, it doesn't work, you know?
Well, talking about moving and jiving and
shucking and jiving.
Shucking and jiving and dropping bionic elbows. Obviously this is not a pro wrestling podcast, but we are a couple of pro wrestling marks.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I was quite devastated yesterday to find out about the death of the American Dream that they wrote.
Yeah, because this one came out of nowhere. I mean, Christopher Lee, he was 93. It was going to happen sooner rather than later. Dusty was 69. I figured he'd have a few more years in him yet.
Well, Dusty, like...
Granted, he was a big man and all.
But... Oh yeah, but like it seemed like Dusty was always around.
Yeah.
You know, he always seemed to me like he'd be that guy who just like, you know, every 2 years Dusty appears on Raw, drops the elbow, and I was like, that's going to be the way it is forever, right? And then, you know,
he'd come in, he'd try to give Cody a rub, it wouldn't work. He'd come back again in 2 years' time, try to make it happen again.
Well, the thing, like Dusty Rhodes, the American Dreams, who we're talking about, Dusty was one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk, like, he was an underrated in-ring worker, I think. Like, Dusty had some phenomenal matches, and if I was to recommend one or two, I would say go hunt down his match with Barry Windham that's featured on the Rise and Fall of WCW.
Yeah. And
I would also recommend their Great American Bash 86 Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes for the world title in the cage.
Hells yes.
You know, there's a thing called ring psychology, and Dusty Rhodes wasn't so much a fucking doctor in it as he was the guy who invented it all.
Yeah.
I mean, Nietzsche and fucking Freud and all these guys are fucking children in comparison to what Dusty could do.
I'll say this. He was in ring at least. He was a master of getting a lot out of a little, because he was not the most athletic by any stretch of the imagination.
His behind may be a little big.
Yeah.
You know?
My belly may be a little big, my behind may be a little big.
But I'm bad and they know I'm bad.
Yeah.
But Dusty on the microphone, like so many people, like so many actors and whatever else, the CGI castles exploding around them and whatever. Dusty Rhodes needed a microphone, and he'd just stand there and he would talk to you just through the TV, and he was just so magnetic. I mean, as I said, I'll put out a thing on my personal social media where I was like, so many personal memories attached to Dusty. Like, one that I forgot about, but I think I'll bring up here is a good brother who was editing this show for us. Okay, one time when I first moved up to Galway, the A-Team was coming out, and I remember. Like, I was like, I don't care about the A-Team, you know, whatever. You know, I like the TV show, I don't need to see the movie.
Okay.
And then Charlton Copley and Rampage Jackson came on Raw to promote it. And Dusty Rhodes at the end of the show cut a promo about how everyone should go see the A-Team. And it was so good, me and kayfabe, alright? Myself and Good Brother were just like, holy shit, we gotta go see this movie, like, you know? And Dusty,
he talked people into the building. That's what he fucking does.
He talked us into a building he wasn't going to be anywhere near. Like, Dusty was just phenomenal. Like,
and he as well. Oh, sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I want to say, like, the thing with Dust was, like, it didn't matter. Like, the reason his legend endured is because it didn't matter what he looked like, or, like, it didn't matter how, well, it didn't matter what he looked like, but it didn't matter how physically able he may have been based on his years in the ring. He could cut a promo before the match to make you care about him so much. Like in ECW, we had these matches with Steve Corino, and when you go back and look at them, it's just two dudes stabbing each other for 5 minutes.
Pretty much.
But the promos Dusty cut beforehand to make you believe it was a matter of life and death. Like, you know? And
Steve fucking Corino. Yeah. I mean, who gives a shit about him? No. King of old school. All right.
But that's the thing. Like, Dusty, I could go into many more, like including the story about like myself and yourself.
Yeah.
Telling an entire bar to shut up.
Yeah.
So we could listen to one of his promos.
Yeah. It was Payback about 2 years ago, I think it was.
Yes.
And it was in the middle of that Shield versus the Rhodes Brothers feud.
Wonderful match.
But beforehand, Dusty is there with his boys cutting a backstage promo, and the sound is down because we weren't we were the only people watching it, I think.
Yeah.
So the sound was down. And we shouted over at the barman, Mike, fucking lob the sound up there. He wouldn't lob it up high enough so we could hear it. So we fucking shot over beside the fucking TV and held our ears up against the speakers just so we could hear this. And was it me or you who shouted at the bar?
I think we both just kind of went, shut the fuck
up. We don't care what's going on in your mundane, miserable fucking existences. Oh, really? The wife is mad at you. She'll be mad at you again because you're a fucking alcoholic.
Well, the dream is on.
The dream is on.
And
this is more important.
Like, I think I told you the story about how, like, Liam, who's a listener to this show, and he produced that It's Time track.
Which I love.
Oh, great track. And anyway, me and him, we went to see a friend of ours in a play. And she was up. It was an intermission, and in the second act, it was the Crucible. She was supposed to be crying, so we were we went outside for the intermission, and didn't know we were under her window, and we just started doing impressions of Dusty as if he was a Captain Planet villain, and we were just there. I remember I was there going, "Babe, American dream, that's the rules. It's going to pollute this earth if that's what it takes to get the textile industry in this country back on the feet. Because the American people need to put food on their family's table. And I tell you this, you're going to hug a tree, but ain't no meal going to fall out of it." It was that kind of stuff over and over again. And the thing about Dusty, and there's a line I want to leave this on, if that's okay with yourself.
Absolutely.
Dusty, one of Dusty's greatest promos was the Hard Times promo.
Yeah. And
Dusty, I remember at the end of it, he talked about, like, when people fall on hard times, this is just just in general, like, and he said, he goes, like, he talked about different examples, like, people being shut down in auto factories and whatever else. And he said, and that's why we're out here trying to give you good times, And the thing is, like, I know a lot of people in the last year who've had a lot of badness happen to them, who've fallen on hard times. I know a lot of people will be feeling the hard time blues because of Big Dust gone, like,
Fuck yeah.
And that's why I think we probably sit here and do these shows, so we can give people those little good times throughout their week, And that's why, guys like Dusty, they're crazy. Guys like Christopher Lee, they did. That's what they did. They entertained us, like,
Yeah.
And if we can do even a modicum of that for you, well, then we'll be living on the end of a lightning bolt.
That's what we're aiming for.
Anyway, we should probably get into talking some Canon.
Yeah, let's get into the Canon. Come on.
Logo.
It's Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, the Great American Bash, the hottest ticket in town, coming throughout this country. July the 1st in Philly. In Washington, D.C., Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, gets his chance once again at destiny, at what all dreams are made of in this country. Living in the promised land, being the best you can. That's what it's all about. Ending up in Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, a Great American Bash. In this year of 1986, Miss Liberty, living in the promised land, Dusty Rhodes faces his sternest test. Because no matter how much a fever pitch the Great American Dream provides for the people throughout television land, throughout arena land, throughout wrestling land, there is one thing that stands out in the mind of millions of people throughout this country daily. Whether you like wrestling or not does not matter. Ole Anderson and Dusty Rhodes have to somewhere, sometime, someplace in this thing that has for years driven this inside of me to be as bad as I can, to be mean, to be ugly, to be nasty, to get round dirty. And Ole Anderson, you're on your last leg. This might be the swan song, if you will. And like I said before, if it be that way, let it be. Nobody interfere. Me and you, the four horsemen, they need to ride on another planet 'cause I reserved the stratosphere for me and you. And there ain't nobody else on the stratosphere. On the end of the lightning bolt that crashes through this great, vast atmosphere, Dusty Rhodes lives. I ride on the end, and I got a silver-studded saddle. And I've rode there for 7 years. You got to come up to my place. Ole Anderson and Dusty Rhodes, the Midnight Express, baby doll, everybody. Get it now, the hottest ticket in town, the Great American Bash, living on the end of a lightning bolt.
Okay, well after that, it's we talked last week about the steak and the sizzle.
Yeah,
you know? We're back to steak heavy territory in many ways.
Oh,
not necessarily based on the film in some cases, but on the politics of the film and whatever else. We got to talk about Death Wish 2, which is obviously the film we're going to discuss today. But you might be wondering to yourself why are they going after Death Wish 2 and not Death Wish 1? But Death Wish 1 wasn't a Canon film.
Exactly.
And I think what we'll have to do firsthand is just talk about Death Wish 1 just for 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. You've done a bit more research on Death Wish 1, so why don't you lead it? Why don't you inform the public bit on Death Wish 1?
Death Wish 1, released in 1974, for my money at least, is one of the seminal films of the 1970s.
I agree with that.
It is one of the most provocative pieces of cinema I think I've ever seen. For my money, it's a meditation on victims' rights, post-traumatic stress disorder, vigilantism. It raises a lot of hard questions and doesn't give any easy answers. You can almost get past the fact that it was directed by a man who, let's be perfectly honest, is a bit of a scumbag.
Oh, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that in a bit. And what holds this together is the absolute monolithic fucking performance of
our star,
of Chuck Bronson, because this guy, Chuck Bronson was the perfect Paul Kersey. Chuck Bronson, he's been in a ton of movies, and a ton of movies that I've really loved, but to me, he is Paul Kersey.
Well, that's the thing, when Charles Bronson died, I mean, Charles Bronson, for my money, may have been in the greatest film ever made.
What's that?
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah, you're on to something there.
You know, I'm not necessarily going to put down that as it is the greatest movie of all time. However,
it's in the conversation.
It's in the top 1. You know? But it's in the top 5 anyway. You know, it's just, that movie's incredible, and he's amazing in it. But like Bronson, when he died back in 2003, I believe, I remember when the obituaries came out, it wasn't Charles Bronson starred The Great Escape, Charles Bronson starred Once Upon a Time in the West. It was Charles Bronson starred the Death Wish films.
Yeah.
And this was his signature role. Like, you know, the Death Wish 1, I haven't seen it in a number of years, but like, it's a really kind of slow moving, brutal kind of film, and it's, you know, it's about a guy, Paul Kersey, whose wife and daughter gets, his wife gets murdered and his daughter is brutally raped by a young Jeff Goldblum, amongst others. But the thing was with that film, it's a real morally ambiguous kind of discussion of vigilantism, and there's so much amazing symbolism in it, because like, to try and get over his wife's death, he goes on holiday to Montana, and he kind of becomes entrenched in cowboy culture. Yeah. And this is like the visual of Bronson reattaching himself to a kind of cinematic language that existed 20 years ago that he was a part of. Yeah. You know?
It's the American mythos. He was sort of, because the cowboy thing, they made cowboy movies for about 3 times longer than the actual period they set them in lasted. You know, they've mythologized this thing to the point where it's like whatever it is, whatever it really was, is completely lost.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's one of those things. I'm guessing you have to be American to truly get it. I dig cowboy movies and everything.
I don't know. I mean, again, Once Upon a Time in the West, for my money, might be the best Western made by an Italian.
Yeah, true.
Like, some of the best Westerns were spaghetti Westerns made by Italians, like, you know.
Yeah, Chioma.
Chioma, man. Fucking...
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Django, fucking... Like one of my true heroes, Mo Dempsey. I remember he said, "What you call it?" He I think he was probably a bit tired that day. He goes, "Well, they call them spaghetti westerns because they shot them in Spain." And I know what he was going for.
Yeah,
but, you know, Mo is a fucking awesome dude. Like, but the thing with Death Wish 1, it's ultimately about one man who just pushed to the fucking edge, and like the police won't solve the crime of his wife and daughter being attacked. Like, nothing is done about it. So he just fucking grabs. I remember at first he grabs a sock full of coins and goes and batters people with it, and then he just goes, right, fuck it, and tools up with a gun and goes out and just starts murdering fucking.
And it's not even a straight revenge thing. It's just whoever.
He doesn't get the guys who did it.
No.
He just goes on a fucking rampage. Like.
And little bit of trivia in the first one, at least, he gets a young Denzel Washington.
Does he?
Yeah, I think it is. Anyways, it could be.
I don't know.
Number 3. I get confused about this.
There's
sometimes.
a young actor coming up in this film.
Absolutely, yeah.
But anyway, like, this is the one thing that Death Wish didn't need. It ends with Kersey being run out of New York.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really ambiguous ending, and you're thinking, it's like the question is left up to the audience. Has he gone too far? Is he still a good guy? Etc.
Yeah.
And in an ambiguous ending like that, what it doesn't need is a sequel.
Yeah.
It got fucking 4. Alright? But
I was thinking about this, or I watched Death Wish 1 a couple of days before I watched this one, and I was thinking it would have been a better film had Kersey died at the end.
Probably, yeah.
You know, I mean, because
that's what happened now.
Because my thinking on the matter was the guy that Kersey really wanted dead was himself.
Yeah.
That was the way I always read it.
It's like Mad Max almost. Where it's like, I won't kill myself. Yeah. But I'm not going to fucking live safe.
Yeah.
You know, I'm done doing that.
I'm going to put myself in situations where it could happen.
It's like that thing where I remember someone saying to me one time, like, if you decided that you want to kill yourself, then you're bulletproof. Yeah. Why don't you just go, all right, for a year, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Absolutely.
And then if I still feel like dying, I'll do it, like, you know.
But instead they'll just sit down and listen to the Smiths and cry.
Well, not if you grab a piece and then run onto the subway and fucking blow dudes away.
No, I'm talking about most suicidal fuckers. But
anyway, the last thing a film like that needed a sequel. It got 4. Yeah. I'll name them off here. There's Death Wish, Death Wish 2, Wish Harder, Death Wish 3, London Calling, Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. Yeah. Which is his actual subtitle. And Death Wish 5, Why Am I Still Alive? I like to think that they were going to make more, so I thought about films they could have made up until 2003, up until Charles Bronson's death. So Death Wish 666, The Great Beast of the Streets, was one I thought. Nice. Death Wish 7, Lucky Shot. I believe you said Las Vegas, Nevada would be where that's at.
Exactly.
Death Wish Hate, which will come out after American History X. You know what I'm saying? H8. Yeah. That's what we're going for here. And just a swastika on the box.
Yeah. Hate Club? I thought they were dead.
Yeah. Nick Cage.
Nick Cage. Nick Hatred. Fuck you.
Will you see how far we're going to go? I'm out of here.
This is Robbie Marino, CZW with Zandig. Oh my God, what the fuck just happened?
What do you mean what happened? What are you, blind? Jesus! There was 5 of them! It took 5 of them! Justice Pain! Oh, Hate Club! Oh, the Hate Club's dead! Nick Cage! Nate Hatred! Who do you think you are? Nobody does this to Zandig! Nobody does this to the White Beater! Zandig, White Beater, Nick Mondo! We are the most ultra-violent force on the face of the earth! Oh my! Oh! Yo, you're gonna die! You are gonna die! I guarantee it! I am gonna kill you! Stop! You people have not seen anything! This is just the start of fake UTV! I am the ultraviolet icon! This is Robbie Marino! This is CZW, the most violent federation on the face of the earth! You just wait and see how far we're gonna go! I'm out of here!
Of course, the most controversial entry in the series, Death Wish 9/11.
Oh, shit.
You know, would come after that.
I can only imagine what you had in mind for that one.
Death Wish 10, then. Kersey's Dead, The Final Nightmare, a.k.a. Michael Winner's Wishmaster 3. Which is a fucking triple joke, I'll have you know.
Plus a film I would finance if the people involved were still alive.
Of course, Death Wish 11, Back from Heaven.
Nice.
It's a resurrection picture because obviously died number.
Oh, of course,
10. Yeah. Death Wish 12, The Next Generation. That was the failed sequel with a bunch of young kids just running around killing people.
Shia LaBeouf we're talking to him about it.
Yeah, he couldn't grow the right mustache. Death Wish Unlucky 13, almost a sequel to Death Wish 7 Lucky Shot.
Yeah.
And of course, John Derek then would like to direct Death Wish 14. If there's grass on the pitch, play dead.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ.
Hey, look. Anyway, we've talked about Bronson, obviously. Michael Winner. Let's discuss him for a split second there.
Yeah, now, what can you say about Michael Winner?
He's a cunt.
He's an absolute shit.
No, the reason I say that is because there isn't a single positive record of Michael Winner. There's not a single positive account of his character, I think.
No.
There. Like, everybody who seemed to work with him, apart from probably Bronson.
Yeah.
Right? Who, I'm sure he was probably filleting Bronson's ego every few seconds.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
But, like, it seemed like everybody who worked under that guy, and especially women who were unfortunate enough to work underneath that guy, have nothing but shitty things
Understandably.
to say. And look, if one person tells you your shit stinks, maybe your shit stinks. 100 people tell you your shit stinks, you fucking stink. And, like, the accounts of this guy's behaviour is reprehensible. And, you know,
there's a show on British TV called Have I Got News for You? And in the first 2 or 3, started in the early 90s, in the first 2 or 3 seasons of it, a running gag they had was how much of an absolute cunt Michael Winner was.
Yeah.
And it always got a laugh.
They had the Michael Winner cunty scale.
Pretty much. It was like it was 1 to Michael Winner, and it was a 5-point scale. And I think Margaret Thatcher was a 4. That should tell you how much.
Again, if you want to see what we're talking about here, just go and do the research yourself. Like, from what I understand, Winner was horrible to a lot of his cast members, and especially to women.
Yeah. He had a problem with women, too.
He really did. He seemingly had a fixation on featuring sexual assault of women in his films a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just had this leery, fucking misogynistic fucking way about himself. He never made a good account of himself.
There was... it's online. You can look it up on YouTube. It was around when the first or the second Death Wish?
Oh, the second Death Wish, where he had the interview with the feminist critic.
Yes.
And she questions him heavily about themes of rape in his work. And instead of he just acts like a cunt. That's the only way I can describe it.
And he asks, "Oh, have you ever been raped?"
Yeah.
And she just goes, Yes, I was. And he's like, well, okay then.
Yeah, he's
still absolutely cunty to her.
Like, maybe people in America mightn't have had as much exposure to Winner's fucking arseholiness as the rest of us who are over here.
Count yourself lucky.
But trust us, right? Or just go look it up. Look up that Death Wish 2 debate.
Actually, the one thing I can ever say in Michael Winner as a man, in his defense as a human being, is the Richard Littlejohn thing.
He did, yeah.
For the Americans listening, Richard Littlejohn is... he's like, say, the British equivalent of Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And he was talking to a bunch of I think he was talking to a bunch of women about gender politics and what have you, and he was just being an absolute arse to them. And for some reason he had Winner on. I assume because he thought Winner would back him up.
Back up, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, Michael, what do you think about that? And it's like, well, Richard, you've behaved appallingly.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think you're a bit of an arse. And it was the one time where...
If Michael Winner tells you you're an arsehole, you got problems.
Yeah, it's the old Groucho Marx line, if 7 or 8 people say you're dead, lie down. If Michael Winner calls you an arsehole.
Well, the thing with Winner is, like, we're both grown-ups, right? And, again, he's made his behaviour on record has painted a picture of a man who was pretty repugnant personally. But we're all grown-ups and we can disassociate the artist from the art, so to speak. I'm sure you like a few Ted Nugent songs just like I do.
I do like Cat Scratch Fever.
There we go, you know, and many other artists who've got like maybe different political opinions and whatever else to us. I mean, like John Milius is one of my favourite directors. I'm sure I couldn't find a single thing to agree with him on politically.
Yeah, I love Kurt Russell. Me and Kurt are on very opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I look, Kurt Russell, fucking... love that man. Big Trouble in Little China, my favourite movie of all time.
True.
Anyway, it is a Michael Winner film directed by him and starring Charles Bronson. And I think we've probably prattled on long enough. A little bit longer than we usually do with our intros. So it's probably about time we got to Death Wish 2.
Absolutely.
Okay, we start with the aerial shot of Los Angeles, and there's a radio thing going on. There's like just radio, like a crime report going on, which is kind of important to the plot. But as I was just sitting there listening to this, and I kind of have a fairly cynical cinematic brain on myself, and one of the reports said rapes are up 61%, and I sat there and I said, yeah, well, when Michael Winner makes a film in your city, that tends to happen. This is obviously Los Angeles. Death Wish 1, of course, is set in New York. Death Wish 1 ends in Chicago, but I guess Bronson didn't like Chicago.
Apparently not.
And sure, why not? I hear it's cold in the winter.
True.
But aerial shots. They're just kind of loosely setting the scene, and there's some music playing in the background. Of course, one person we forgot to mention in the intro to this: music by fucking Jimmy Page.
Yeah, there is such a badass 80s riff playing when this opening montage is happening. It's a phenomenal fucking piece. It's on my MP3 player right now.
Well, the thing is, like Jimmy Page, like great guitarist, and was in Led Zeppelin, and I'm sure I could ask you to name 5 classic Zeppelin songs, and then I could sit here, let you name them off, and if you asked me to do 5 different ones, I could do the same. And that's how good of a band they are.
Yeah, if we start talking about how great Zeppelin are, we will be here for another fucking 5 days. But
anyway, we see Charlie Bronson. Anyway, he's hanging out with his missus. Jill Ireland, who's his actual missus.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
That's his actual wife. And
she was on the older side of Milfy at this point.
She was, yeah.
You know, she was getting on a bit, but she still would.
Charles Bronson, you see, is housekeeper. She's making the house up.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate for her. Jill Ireland, who I'm sure, based on her actual matrimonial status with Charles Bronson, that's the only reason she escaped cinematic assault.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Bronson would have pulled a fucking piece and put one in Michael Winner for real.
True.
But, and they go off to visit Charles Bronson's unfortunate daughter who survived the attack of the first film. And I just wrote here, he hugs his daughter, and without even thinking, I just wrote the words, I'd fucking love a hug off Charles Bronson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's such a charismatic dude,
But the only physical contact you'd get off Charles Bronson being a man is violent.
It'd be a handshake that'd hurt.
Yeah.
But
it'd hurt so good, though.
Yeah. But, it just, I don't know. He's the kind of dude who is just fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know? But, the daughter, she's fucked up in the head.
Yeah, she's semi-catatonic.
Yeah.
And, which is really sad, because she starts off just like a normal, regular girl in the first movie. The thing happens, and then she's clearly not taken to it well. In the timeline of the series, this is 2 years after the events of the first one.
Do you know if that was the same actress?
I think... I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I doubt it, because she looks very young.
Yeah,
so.
she
I didn't do the research on this. So,
neither did I. I kind of skimped, to be honest.
But anyway, he goes, picks up his daughter, and we're getting a little bit of kind of just a setting for this.
Yeah.
And he brings her to... He's like, I'll get you some ice cream. And straight away, we run into what can only be described as a gang of pricks.
Yeah.
And these guys, there's like 5 of them, I think. One of them is fucking Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, true. And, wearing a pair of pink wraparound shades.
Yeah.
And smoking like slate hash.
Yeah. There's no real reason for these guys to be pricks. They're just pricks.
Yeah.
And they take one look at Charles Bronson and decide, well, let's roll them for money.
Which not only makes them pricks, it makes them the thickest fuckers in greater Los Angeles.
Why would you pick on him?
Yeah, of all of the people in Los Angeles. You know, I mean, fucking Richard Simmons was in Los Angeles at the same time. He'd be a better target.
You couldn't pick a worse man. You know what I mean? Like, if Rambo had been walking along, right, they would have had an easier time with him.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of going up to Mike Tyson in his prime and just like grabbing his nose between your 2 fingers and slapping down like that.
Well,
but you're gonna die.
Yeah, and like they rob him of money.
Yeah,
and he chases one of them and fucks him up.
Yeah.
And,
unarmed now.
Yeah. The guy pulls a knife on him and he basically just no-sells it.
Yeah.
And like
he grabs a cardboard box, uses that as a shield, just fucking throws it away.
He fucks him up and you're like, straight away you're like, God damn it, I fucking love Charles Bronson.
Yes.
As an action star, you know? And this is the thing, we're going to get into the really horrible part of the film in a second, right? But the thing is, Charles Bronson can save a movie because for whatever reason, when it comes to just action scenes, that just fucking got us. You know,
he understands whatever it is you need to do to make it work.
The guys have stole his wallet, so this gang and they stole his wallet, so they go, let's go hit him where he lives.
Yeah, because how dare he try to get his money back off us? A pack of pricks like us.
And you think one of them would have learned his fucking lesson when he got the shit knocked out of him.
Like, but apparently his ego couldn't take that, so it's like, we need to get our revenge on this man for beating me in a fair fight.
Yeah. Anyway, they go to the house and the maid is there.
Poor Rosaria.
And basically what they do is they violently gang rape her.
Yeah, there's a bit here where like one of the guys he knocks on the front door, delivery, and a bunch of guys sneak around the back. And the maid, she opens up the curtain, looks out the window and sees this, fucking mullet head staring back at her.
Yeah.
And there's like a second of shock.
Yeah.
Window smashes in the back and they all pile in. 1 second. And the thing is, what happens next goes on way longer than it fucking should.
And this is like in the uncut version, which I have seen in the past, but this was the version I watched for. This wasn't the uncut.
Yeah.
Version. The scene lasts for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's this extended rape scene. And here's what bugs me about it the most. Right, first of all, I can fucking do without rape scenes.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't like them. Alright?
Just like rape in general. We could do without it.
I don't, it's like when... remember the miscarriage thing on Raw?
Yeah.
Could do without that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I could just do... Sexual violence is something... Like, not to say that it can't be discussed and portrayed intelligently on film. It can. A film I would recommend checking out is Martha Marcy May Marlene. That film deals with it exceptionally well.
Yeah, and that's a hard watch, but it's a good watch.
But you know what I mean? Like, there are good movies out there that deal with this kind of stuff.
Irreversible is another one.
There you go.
But again, Irreversible.
No, but it should be a hard watch.
Yeah.
Whereas this, those films exist to kind of discuss that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And take on the topic head on, right? The rape scenes in this film only exist to motivate Charles Bronson into action. Like, the female and to provide a weird sexual content,
Yeah.
So it's just like, we need some female characters to get raped, so Charles Bronson can go fight,
See, it happened in the first film. And in the first film, you can understand it.
Oh, I will defend the first film.
In the first film, you need something really extreme to provoke such an extreme reaction.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in that content. In that context, I should say. In the second one, it's unnecessary because he's already that guy. He's already Paul Kersey, architect / Batman. He doesn't need an extra fucking
it's
rape.
It's fucking lazy.
To make
it is.
Yeah,
it's lazy and it's fucking repugnant.
I mean, they could have done anything. They could have just like fucking sliced her up a bit. They could have just killed. They could have just like stabbed her in the stomach.
Yeah.
Any sort of any sort of unpleasant but not rape stuff.
Yeah.
Would have sufficed to make this work.
However, our director
made
the choice. He's like, well, what worked in the first film? Well, there was a rape scene now. So let's do a shitload more rapes in this movie.
Yeah, and
the way it's filmed is just like they'll always make the case, and Michael Winner himself make the case. It's like, oh, rape happens and all that. Yeah, but the way you filmed this rape, is to elicit excitement almost. Like it's not like your one's crying and all that, but it's more so about the guys raping her.
The uncut version of this, it's video nasty territory.
It is, yeah.
It's it's if anything, it's like a worse version of I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
And I don't say that out of any sense of hyperbole.
Yeah.
I've watched I Spit on Your Grave, and it's like, okay, I can understand why that happened, and as unpleasant as it is, I can deal with it.
Well, Death
Wish 2, oh my god.
And Mayor Zarici, of course, the guy who directed I Spit in Your Grave, the reason he made that film was so he could, in a way, exercise his own demons, because him and his son apparently were walking through Central Park in New York, and they came across like a woman who'd been violently gang raped.
Oh god.
And like he said, that kind of haunted him for years, so that's why he wanted to make a movie.
I can imagine so, yeah.
And obviously we know what I Spit in Your Graves about. But anyway, we're gonna have to discuss this in a bit more. The guys basically fucking they do what they do. Kersey comes home, they kill her in front of him, kidnap Kersey's daughter, and knock Paul out.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Charles Bronson fights back, but they get the better of him. And then, what do you follow up one horrible rape scene with? Another one.
Yeah, you think I have it written down here. You'd think these boys would be worn out after the first one, but apparently Morpheus has been handing out the blue pills.
Yeah, it's
oh god.
So yeah, they go back to their hideout.
Yeah,
and they in the version I saw it was cut, but there is another extended rape scene here.
Yeah,
and then after that, Paul Kersey's daughter,
Carol.
Yeah, Carol. Sorry. She kills herself.
Yeah, she gets an open opportunity. She runs from them, jumps out a window, and impales herself on a spiked fence.
Yeah,
and oh my god, this is one of the worst fucking scenes in all of cinema.
Oh, it's
like they're gang raping a woman who already has shell shock from being raped 2 years prior.
Yeah.
She can barely fucking function as it is.
As I said, the thing that really bugs me is these characters only exist to be raped and killed.
Yeah.
It's just like, here's some cheap shit.
Yeah, honestly, man, you could take a quadruple amputee, put a fucking Star of David t-shirt on them, drop them in the Gaza Strip, and they have a better chance of survival than a woman in a Death Wish movie. I'm not kidding.
Well, anyway, to get off this unpleasantness, Precursey's trying to go to his funeral and whatever else, and he's clearly rattled. He goes away and cuts some firewood in a cutscene.
Yeah, his boss gives him the loan of his cabin for a while, and it's just, I'm not sure why this scene is here. It's just him looking out at vistas while, like, you know, Native American music plays in the background.
Yeah.
Like he's getting the spirit of the West in him or something like that.
The West.
You know, yeah, I said that wrong, but the culture came out in me there. But
no, it is weird. He comes back, he's talking to his radio station manager, and his missus, who we talked about earlier, played by Jill Ireland, she works for this radio station as a news reporter, and her kind of response to all the crime in the city is to be kind of a liberal and to kind of,
well, we need to solve these problems
with compassionate care and all that, and she's kind of putting out that opinion on the airwaves. And anyway, Charles Bronson has decided when he was cutting up the wood that he was coming back to take fucking names.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, I gotta point out at this point, somebody acting in this movie is fucking awful. The guy who runs the radio station, when Paul Kersey gives him, because Kersey is an architect and vigilante, but he's an architect of justice. But he comes back and goes, "Hey, check out, here's your designs. Here's how much it cost." I'm not kidding. He just kind of turns and goes, "Paul, I can't believe these prices.
Yeah.
Oh my god." You know, it's just like he's in a local supermarket ad.
I mean, honestly, if I were the one directing this, fucking...
If you were the one directing this, we wouldn't be friends.
If I was directing that particular scene, you know, Bronson just would have pistol whipped that guy.
Yeah.
Just what the fuck, man? And no, there is one thing I thought was kind of interesting about Jill Ireland's character in this.
Yeah.
She, the whole time, she's going on with the very liberal point of view about this, and her job is essentially reporting all of this really horrific shit.
Yeah.
And there's a motif going on throughout the film that every time you hear a radio, it's a news report about some horrible violent crime that's happened in the last 12 hours.
Yeah.
And which I think is surprisingly subtle from Michael Winner.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense. Jill Ireland's character in this, that she's saying this the whole time. It's like, yeah, but we need to be compassionate about this. And it's like, no, they're fucking dickheads.
I just remembered something. All right. That you said there sparked it off my head, right?
What's that?
Bob Mills, who was a bit of a late night TV legend. From
one of my heroes. Yeah,
In Bed When We Dinner, fucking legendary late night insomniac television. He was talking about Michael Winner's career, and he goes, Michael Winner was a young man who directed Death Wish, this fantastic film, and he was. And he sat back, and instead of going, I'm going to rest on my laurels and make more artistic films, instead he went, let's make 5 more of them bastards. Bob Mills, sir, you are a funny fucker.
Absolutely.
But anyway, to get back to the thing, at this point, Kersey's on the hunt. He goes and he goes to the Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Same Streets of Rage from Last American Virgin.
Yeah.
And he he's walking down this crazy looking street. Yeah. Like, first of all, he drifts up. He roughs himself up.
And you know shit has got real, because from now on, pretty much everything Charles Bronson does in this movie is met with like a single fucking chord.
Yeah, you know, that's the true Death Wish 2 theme. Yeah, the plinky chord.
And it's like, plink, plink, plink.
Maybe we could have it play.
Yeah, you know? Sorry, my bad.
No. I'm sure it's playing right now as we're talking. Yeah. And, but yeah, as you can hear, it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's walking down this amazing street that has these little shops that are churches.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff. And he rents the shittest room in America.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I think that was sort of playing into the Old West motif of this, because it's missions.
Yeah.
And in like the Old West towns, there'd always be at least one of these things.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they were going for. I don't know if that's still a thing in like major American cities. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't fucking know.
Well, I've been in a few, and I didn't see a load of churches.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Well, then again, you're not the sort who go looking.
I am the sort who go looking.
Really?
Oh man, I love nothing better than a mental church. Anyway, and I'm just gonna leave that there.
All right. Leave that one hanging.
But I love mental churches. I love just going, kind of watching people be crazy. But yeah, that's how I feel about religion. But he rents this shittest room in America, and he starts stalking the streets, and he finds Skullet from earlier on.
Yeah.
The mullet guy you were talking about. Alright, and he's like, right, he's got his piece. Alright, he looks fucking cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And he's got his cool music behind him. And he follows these guys to this hotel, which is, like they said, like the old Hollywood Hotel or something.
Yeah.
It was called. And I'm not kidding. There's so many fucking rats there. It's almost the ECW arena.
Yeah, again, it's on the rape scene side of the subtlety scope of this movie. Because this film is capable of, like, really subtle and things that sort of get under your skin. And it's, like, just really obvious.
Yeah.
And, you know, as Kersey is slowly walking down these stairs, it's a shot of his feet going down and just a shitload of rats going down beside him.
Yeah.
It's like, could you be any more fucking obvious? This is end of the Departed level obvious.
It's like I mixed it up there earlier on. It's like the motel across the street from the ECW arena. There's so many rats there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Should have went there. I was at the ECW arena back in October. I should have went to the motel and gotten an STD from the air.
Yeah, there's probably a good strain of hepatitis still doing the rounds in the molecules of that place.
But anyway, the boys are down in the basement of this place trying to do a drug deal, and the deal's off.
Yeah,
because Kersey stalks down. He kicks a can over, and like everyone's alerted to them. Doesn't matter. He fucking blows one of the dudes away.
Yeah.
And there's two of the five are here, and he shoots one of them. Tells the two drug dealers that the guys were hanging out with to get lost. And then one of the coolest lines ever happened.
Yes.
The Skullet guy who was acting all tough earlier on when he was fucking raping the poor women at the beginning of the movie, right? And like he's acting like a badass and whatever else. And then Kersey's there, and like he just starts crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so perfect, because that's what guys are like that. You know,
yeah.
They're tough until the man comes around.
Yeah, he's the stereotypical school bully.
Yeah.
You know, where he's just a prick to be a prick, and then when someone fucking gives him his comeuppance, he's a little bitch.
If you'll allow me the line.
Please do.
He's wearing a crucifix, and Charles Bronson walks up and says, "Do you believe in Jesus?" And the guy goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Good, you're gonna meet him." Boom! Blows him away.
And when he's down, he gives him another one in the head, just to be sure.
Yeah.
Just to be sure.
It's fucking badass.
Yeah, that is... You know, that is up there with, you know, Let Off Some Steam Bennett and Smear Cold Mud on Me and any other fucking action movie one-liner you will ever hear.
Yeah, and this is the problem with this movie, alright? Because despite all the horrific sexual content, the film is still fucking great.
I know.
Because Charles Bronson is such a badass.
I mean, like I said it with the first one, that he held the thing together.
Yeah.
He really holds this fucking thing together.
I was sitting there, like, the thing is, my mum is a big fan. Good mother is a fan, alright, of Charles Bronson. And she loves the Death Wish movies.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like, a lot of her generation, they just go, oh, I love Death Wish. And I think the reason is they didn't probably consider all the horrible shit in it, because all they remembered was Charles Bronson being a bad dude walking around.
Well, in fairness, if you could repress that the memory of some of those scenes, you fucking would.
Oh yeah, but like, I think that's all people remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just Bronson being a fucking bad motherfucker.
Like at the end of the first one, fill your hand.
Yeah. He continues on after he murders this guy, and now he's on the fucking... Yeah. He's on the path, right? And he's walking around Los Angeles, and like there's obviously other scenes in between, but they're not of any real weight. But he's walking around Los Angeles, and it seems like everybody under the age of, say, 29 is a criminal in Los Angeles. It's like a Japanese film about, like, you know, suicidal youths. And what's funny is, like, I wrote this here, it's like he's shooting his way through the Decline of Western Civilization Part 1.
Pretty much.
You know, like that movie, which is great. Like, Penelope Spheres directed a series of documentaries about the music scene in Los Angeles. And the first one is about punks in the early 80s. And this movie is essentially that film, but with Charles Bronson shooting these kids.
Like, what would happen
if
we put Charles Bronson with the hand cannon in this movie?
But it's... He's bombing around the city. Yeah. And, of course, he's in an arcade at one point, which I marked out for because I love arcades. Yeah. And he's next thing he hears another screaming, and I'm there going, oh, for fuck's sake, another rape. Yeah. And yes, another rape.
Now, thankfully, this one is done off screen.
But
they still put it in there.
Yeah. Bronson goes down, and basically a couple of dudes are attacking a tourist couple. One of them being a woman, obviously. Kersey intervenes the only way he knows how, by putting fucking lead in everything.
Yeah. Now, this is my favourite scene in the whole fucking movie.
My favourite scene is later on, but you go ahead.
But because he gets the drop on them, there's 3 guys. He gets the drop on them. No, 4, sorry. He shoots 2 of them in the back.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, like, these guys are... These guys aren't perpetrators of the original crime, but one of them is.
Yeah, one of them is. The original perpetrator plus this other guy and this poor woman are in a van. Yeah. The 2 guys get one in the back. Yeah. And the guys come out shooting. Yeah. And this just turns into like an Old West style gunfight. But there's no soundtrack to this part. No. You know, it's quiet. And it's the guys hiding out and like basically hunting each other, and there's a real sense of peril in this scene.
You worry for Bronson because he's one man.
Exactly, you know? And he's outnumbered and he's outgunned.
And there's the one of the attackers brings the woman out, and of course her tits are out.
Of course,
and she's just like, "Oh no, don't shoot or whatever." And of course Bronson, like the guy's going, "Oh, kill her, man." And Bronson's like, I don't think so, and puts one in him, and that's the end of that. Yeah. And he picks up his other gun and runs after the last guy, who was one of the guys who attacked his daughter. And there's kind of a chase sequence here. The guy's hiding out in a forklift. Yeah. And when Bronson nearly finds him, he drives the forklift fucking at him and knocks over all these boxes, which Chuck narrowly fucking escapes. Yeah. And Chuck gets away and then shoots him square in the fucking face.
I hate to say it, at the risk of being a horrible fucking cliche, for this scene I've written in my notes, the hunter has become the hunted. And only something that fucking badass will elicit such a cheesy fucking cliche of a line.
You're there going, you're fucked.
You are fucked, son.
You know? But he shoots the guy. Well, he doesn't shoot him in the face. He shoots him in like the chest. But he kind of JFKs out of the car. So anyway, I can put it. He shoots him in one direction, but he kind of flies out in another. Yeah. I think that's just the editing in this film. Because some of the editing, to be fair, is kind of shitty.
Yeah. You know, and there's another awesome line in this. Clearly not understanding Bronson at this point for some reason. Yeah. I expected him to have like an angry reaction to this guy. Yeah. And it was... Instead, what I got was far more awesome. It was just like a cold, monosyllabic bye.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? you're not even worth the fucking effort.
Yeah.
And that was it, like, you know. He's like, I'm gonna put you down, and that's it, like, you know. But there is he runs away from the crime scene, like, and cops come or whatever. But this is one of the first GTA films where as long as you get far enough away, you're grand.
You're fine.
You know? And of course, the people he saved, they won't cooperate with the police.
There's a great line in this where the cops are trying to get an ID of Kersey out of them.
Yeah.
And the woman describes him as 6 foot tall and blonde.
Yeah.
And the man describes him as black with a red beard and 7'2".
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck. You know, and your man has a completely legitimate criticism of the cops. It's like, you know, where the fuck were you collecting signing parking tickets? And he's right, because there are two constants in the Death Wish films. Like I said, if you're around Paul Kersey and you have a vagina, you're basically dead. And two, the cops will arrive 2 minutes after whatever the fuck is going down has happened.
Yeah.
Those are the two constants. That, three. That fucking, and Kersey in his hand cannon.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of nothing kind of happens then with the police. Because I guess that they kind of discuss this. Like, the police are kind of going, Paul Kersey's on the whatever.
Well,
like,
what happens in those scenes is the New York cops who let him go the first time.
Yeah.
It dawns on them that Kersey is doing his thing again. So they send the guy who tried to intimidate him into stopping in the first film, Detective Ochoa. And they decide, we'll try to get him to do it again. 'Cause it worked so well the first fucking time.
Yeah. But they go try to get him to stop it. He talks to everybody on the police force, from the lowest guy to the big boss man himself at the top. Knew I'd get the big boss man in there. But if this show has a fucking theme tune, it's that. Right? And I'm not going to explain it any more than that. Right? You either know what it is or you don't. But they're like, all right, well, I'll go. He decides to try and stop him because he can't let the cops know that that they let Kersey go. So he's trying to do it on his own.
Yeah.
And he's still holding out on him. Kersey, of course, is still hunting the guys. There's other scenes in between, but I don't really think they're all that important.
Not really, no.
And he finds the 3 remaining rapists having a wee dance.
Yeah.
And all I think was, this is like the beginning of a really bad joke.
Yeah.
3 rapists are having a dance in the park.
I was thinking, this is Michael Winner directs Breakin'. That was what came to my mind.
I'd hate that poor fucking what's his name?
Special K would have been filled with Special K and fucking thrown out the back of a moving lorry.
Was it Karen Kelly?
Kelly, yeah.
Oh, poor Kelly.
Poor Kelly.
You know?
Poor Lucinda Dickey.
I'm so glad she was spared the fate of being in the Michael Winner.
Same here.
But I just wrote down here, they're dancing around. They start harassing a nurse for no good reason. They get on the bus. All I think was, these people are the fucking worst.
Yeah,
you know.
There is kind of a cool chase scene aspect to this, because
Bronson's trying to.
Yeah. Well, Bronson is tailing these guys, and Detective Ochoa is tailing him.
Yeah. And they're all trying to keep.
Yeah, they're all. They. Ochoa, he's trying to. Is he trying to stop Bronson? I'm not entirely sure.
He's just keeping an eye on him.
He's just keeping an eye on him. Yeah, and they have to change buses and stuff like that. Yeah. And Ochoa is following them in a cab, and it's fucking weird. When they get to their destination.
Yeah, the boys run off into the woods.
Yeah.
Bronson follows them, and your man, the cop, gives the cabbie half a tenner.
Yeah.
Because you get the other half and I get back. And all I think was that was a lot of money back then.
And as well as that, he says, if you hear shooting, don't worry, it's target
practice.
How fucking would you have to be to believe that line? Because if I was driving a cab and someone told me to follow someone, and then when he got out and said, don't worry if you hear gunshots, I'm calling the fucking cops.
Yeah, but there's a tenner in it. You know what I mean?
The power of a tenner.
Oh man, a tenner was a lot of money back then.
I know, but he's not Virgil. Come on.
it wouldn't buy you half a bag of Funyuns today. Like,
Yeah,
but,
true. Okay, fair enough.
You know, I mean,
The 80s were a different time. I understand that.
but it's yeah, he's just like, oh jeez, I need this tenner. Fuck the law. He's like the anti-Judge Dredd. But you know, the guy Bronson follows the boys in, and this is like straight out of Grand Theft Auto. Well, maybe Grand Theft Auto is straight out of Death Wish too. Like, you know, where Bronson follows the guys in, and they're buying guns because clearly their gang is starting to fucking disappear. So I guess they're thinking, let's tool up.
And here's the thing. Lawrence Fishburne, for some reason, brings a boombox to a gun deal.
Oh, here's my favourite bit in the movie.
No.
Right.
Before you say that, I just want to comment on one thing. The state of the gun dealer.
Oh, God. He
looked like a cross between a rainbow and a paedophile.
Yeah,
he had, what was it, a pink satin shirt and rainbow suspenders.
I don't mean to use the term gay as a pejorative.
Yeah.
Right? But he did look like he owned a gay bar in Deadwood. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of way to describe it.
That would be amazing if that was an actual thing in Deadwood. It would become like top 10 greatest shows ever to best thing that's ever existed.
But that was what he looked like.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He had that kind of weird, he reminded me of one of those, like, you know, he looks like someone you see in a documentary about Waco. That's all.
Yeah, there was that look about. He had a gut. He had a bit of a neck beard going on.
Yeah,
he had like a Stephen Wright haircut.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll after that, the cop spots that there's a sniper watching for Kersey because the boys are being watched. You know.
Yeah.
So the cop shoots the sniper. And then all fucking hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Because this guy's selling these guys fucking M16s and hand cannons and all the rest, right? And Kersey then just starts fucking plugging rounds. The cop starts plugging rounds,
yeah.
Like, you know. But he shoots one guy, one of the rapists, in the leg and the stomach, and he kind of goes down. But Lawrence Fishburne's character tries to back behind a pillar, and he holds up his boombox to try and shield himself.
Yeah, just like a pure panicked reaction.
Yeah, he holds it up in front of his face, and fucking Kersey, Bronson, whatever you want to call him, boom!
Yeah.
Splits the fucking thing in half and shoots him right in the fucking eye. It's my favourite moment in the movie. Like, bang!
Yeah.
Like, the thing fucking explodes and the guy goes down. And I don't care. I'm sitting there going, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I like the other scene better, but I was still going, fuck yes.
You know,
get in there.
This is a fuck yeah action movie moment. Like, you know? And like they're taking dudes out, and unfortunately the cop gets tagged, and fucking the Deadwood, the dealer, he drives his car away and fucking tails it off a cliff.
Yeah.
And it's this. It's weird. It's an original car crash.
Yeah.
So usually in a cheaper movie or in any action movie, there's just this like catalogue of car crashes.
Yeah, it's stock footage.
Yeah. Now they filmed this originally for this movie, and the cool thing is the car falls on its side.
Yeah.
And then explodes. And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
The last guy, and I remember his name, Nirvana, his name is.
Yeah. Who's
this big kind of bushy-headed dude. He runs away and gets away.
He looks kind of like Cowboy from The Warriors.
Yes.
That's the best visual descriptor I can give
Or
him.
just like any guy with curly hair in the 70s who went, if I grow my hair out, it looks like Robert Plant's.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then just ended up with just, you know, big mess of hair on their head, like, you know.
And, you know, he gets caught by the cops after, well, they...
we've got something to talk about.
Sorry, yeah.
Kersey has a talk with the dead cop. The guy got shot. And he goes, he's like, look at, Kersey goes, why are you protecting me? He goes, better you than them, you know?
Yeah.
Talking about the guys. So he's made a judgment call on these dudes. And it just reminded me of the chief from Samurai Cop. If you remember him, you know, I want these bastards dead! Kill them all! Actually, sorry. If Maestro, if you wouldn't mind cutting in a bit of the Samurai Cop chief there.
I should fire both of you. You never brought me one of those bastards in alive so I can nail him with something. And because of you, I'm about to be fired. I'm going to lose my pension. That means my future's gone. But you know something? I don't give a fuck. There's only one thing in this world I want. I want you to find that motherfucking Japanese gangster. I want you to kill him, and I want you to kill every one of his men. I want you to burn his house into a bloodbath. Don't leave anybody alive. And when they're all dead, you come back to me. And all three of us will turn our badges in. Say goodbye to it. And we'll be off this police force for good.
Okay, and we're back.
The line I have in my notes is, Paul, of all the murderers I've ever met, you're by far the coolest. That, if I was writing the script, that would have been the line.
Yeah.
Because we're all fucking thinking it.
But the last guy, Nirvana, is his name. And all I could think was, if this was a fucking... If I knew he was going to be the last guy, and if Death Wish 2 was a film that came out in 1996... The tagline I would have put it with, Nirvana is about to be Cobain. And that's what I was thinking.
It would have been a different ending as well. There would have been a shotgun involved
somehow. Yeah. Do you believe in...
heroin?
Yeah, you're going to need it. Boom!
You know, they call it black tar. Does that mean it'll come out slowly? Only one way to find out.
But
jeez, my Bronson impression's gone to shit. But anyways.
Don't worry about it. But what was it? The Kersey, he goes after this guy, and there's a sting operation by the police because obviously they were interested. There's been a fucking mass shooting here, right? So the police are on the lookout, and they're trying to catch Kersey.
Yeah, and they're trying to catch a cop killer.
Yeah. Exactly. So Kersey does his own like fucking stealth intrigue fucking entrance to the building that Nirvana's in. And he shakes the building down. There's a woman being attacked.
When he Kersey just Agent 47's his way in. Past the SWAT team into this building, and wouldn't you know it, this guy is being abusive to a woman. Yeah. Who would have fucking thought, right? And this is purely in terms of gratuity, right?
Yeah.
Bronson's waiting outside the door.
Yeah.
Fucking gun in hand. Your man gets the drop on him, which is, considering it's Bronson, is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And slices his arm up. Yeah. Runs out the door. He gets caught by the cops. But of course,
can I just say, he's a fucking hoss.
Mm.
He's taking cops out left, right, and centre
because he's out of his mind on PCP.
Oh, but he's like turfing them out.
Yeah,
he's just fucking throwing cops through buildings.
But before he gets out there, just for a split second, they have to show the other girl who went in there with Nirvana.
Yeah,
she's out of her mind on drugs, listening to a Walkman with
her tits out.
Yeah, with her tits out for no fucking good reason whatsoever, other than it's a Michael Winner joint.
I'm just going to point this out here, right, just for the sake of clarity, right? Some people have a problem with the word tits.
Yeah.
Right?
Really?
Yeah, they do. They think it's for whatever reason, right? And they think when men use the word tits that we're being, I don't know, some kind of possessive or whatever.
Yeah.
However, I'll say this: have you ever known a woman who didn't call her own tits tits?
I've never met a girl who
you know what I mean? They always go, "These are my tits. Deal with it." You know what I mean? And that's why we use the word tits.
Absolutely,
because all's fair.
What silly person was on with that nonsense?
It's just one of these things, it's that thing where you should. People feel it's a weird thing. It seems to be okay to joke about your dick or your, or whatever. Make as many cock jokes as you can. Well, oh my god, use a fucking descriptive word about female part of female anatomy, and some people lose their fucking mind.
And honestly, it just has a lovely sound. That word, tits.
I love tits is great. And
unless you say it like "Oi, tits," then it's not cool.
And we wouldn't ever sit down and call a woman sugar tits to the grader or whatever.
No, of course
sugar
not.
Tits I think should be a compliment. You should only ever say that if you love someone. That's it. You know what I mean? But it's weird. Like I think a lot of like language kind of gets tuned up sometimes.
Yeah, we need to reclaim tits.
Tits is a great word, and tits are fucking fantastic. You know, I'll put that out there. I'm a fan. You know,
we need to bring back tits. You know, a campaign more pointless than Justin Timberlake bringing back Sexy a couple of years ago.
The thing is, though, it's like Irish women in particular are like, I don't think get enough credit for being as funny as they are about female anatomy.
Oh,
because
fuck yeah.
if you like, you haven't lived, trust me, until you've heard an Irish woman talk about her gi.
Yeah.
You know? And,
here's...
and talk about it in a casual manner.
Yeah.
The kind of manner that, like, on, say, like, social media and whatever, people go... And people always give out about men and whatever else, and go, men are afraid to talk about vaginas. And I remember watching, and all that kind of stuff, like, you know, and are afraid of vaginal imagery and all that. Not if you grow up in Ireland.
No.
Right? Like, because
if you talk to Irish women, just in general...
Oh, well, they'll tell you about their vaginas.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not a fucking problem.
And they'll use language far fouler than I would to describe them as well.
And the thing as well is, like, there's this whole thing about, like, men don't want to talk about periods.
Yeah.
I don't know a single woman who hasn't talked to me with me at length about her period. Like, Irish women just talk about their periods.
Yeah.
It's just something that goes on. Like, you know.
Now, mate, I think it's only about a quarter of the women I know who've done it to me. Maybe you just have a look about you.
I don't know. I do have a look about me. But it's just
Capcom there. He'd love to hear about me excretions.
Oh yeah, it's just and here's the thing: when people in Ireland in general talk about bodily functions, it's always a great bit of crack.
Yeah,
you know,
because there's
still
even
a tiny little bit of Catholic shame involved.
Yeah, and as well as that, there's always, even if you've heard every single word for every single body part and every single function, some drunk Egypt will come out with something you've never heard before. I heard a brilliant one there the last day, where a female friend of mine was talking about a friend of hers who was, and I quote, up on the Onyx Anaconda. Because she has an African boyfriend.
Oh, okay. And, my favourite one, and this is attached usually to older Irish women, who would say about a man who would engage in carnal activities with anyone who would offer such a service to him. They would often say, sure, he'd get up on a crack plate.
Yeah. And just think of the actual physics of that.
Yeah.
That's not a pleasant experience.
Anyway, to get back on topic. Tits. But, anyway, the Nirvana, because he's on PCP and all mental, he gets off when they bring him to court. And basically...
Well...
He gets into a mental institution.
Yeah, the reality of that is not like they showed in this film.
Well, if you want to see a kind of not realistic but probably more accurate description of what it's like to be sent to an asylum for the criminally insane, watch Bronson.
Yeah.
You know.
No, usually what they do is they drug you to catatonia and just fucking leave you there.
Yeah, it's a storage facility.
Yeah, essentially.
But
this guy, apparently he's lucid, he's walking around.
Oh, he's the cock of the walk.
Yeah, he's having the time of his life. And
Charles Bronson makes a visit to the hospital.
Yeah.
Out of feigning some liberal interest with his with a woman.
With Jill.
Now the thing that cracked me up here was, before this scene, he asked her to marry him, and I was like, don't do it!
Don't, for the love of God!
You will die, you know? Do not marry Paul Kersey.
You'll end up with a hole in your head you could stick your fist through. Don't do it.
I mean, look, I'm just saying, it's a miracle, right?
Yeah.
That, a gang of sex attackers haven't just Mad Max style fucking cleaned a truck over
as soon as he said that.
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God, I'm not sure which is more dangerous, being Paul Kersey's love interest or being trafficked.
Yeah. Oh my God! The minute she said that, I half expected like Peter Sutcliffe to jump out from behind the bush and with a hammer.
Or fucking Albert Fish to arrive out with some cheese wire or some shit like that.
It was just I was like, don't do it, sweetheart.
No. But she's like, no, we're getting on this. We're going down to Acapulco and we'll fucking do this.
Going local.
Yeah.
But
they won't be staying too long. It's not Bronson style.
They wouldn't be staying too long because he'd have to avenge her fucking death after a day or two.
Yeah. Well, him going to Mexico is just a scary fucking prospect.
Kidnapping capital of the world.
Yeah, because basically it's gonna be Paul Kersey versus the Sequestro Express.
Yeah.
Or one of the cartels, and that that's a fucking international incident plus the greatest movie never made.
Do you believe in Jesus?
Paul Kersey, ay caramba!
Oh God! Death Wish Trace.
Yes. Oh God! Why was that film not made?
But do you believe in Jesus? But I'm quite proud of that one.
Yeah, should be.
But there. And the minute someone mentions Acapulco, you're just like, you're going loco, right?
Of course.
It's that, because that is a good little tune.
Yeah, in fairness.
It's a good little pop song from back in the day.
Anyways, back on topic.
Back on topic.
Yeah. Now, this shit here, this is where, okay, the rape scene's horrific and everything, but happen in reality. Let's not fucking fool ourselves. Shit like that happens. This is goddamn ridiculous. The scene where Kersey takes on Nirvana here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of espionage attached.
Yeah,
where he fakes an ID for to be a doctor at the hospital.
Yeah, there's a bit of Agent 47 about Kersey, which I love.
Oh, yeah. He goes to the hospital first and scopes it out, and then goes, "All right, I'll be a doctor." And you're like, that. This film couldn't exist anymore because he fakes a photo ID by photocopying it and Tipexing out the name. And
yeah, I was watching that going, you fucking master of espionage, Kersey. Jesus Christ.
He's not exactly the talented Mr. Ripley, is he?
No, he's not.
But he's
fucking Tipex, really?
This isn't as far as espionage goes. This isn't like Inception or fucking Casino Royale.
Yeah, this is more trying to steal a fucking goon of cider out of an off license. That's the level of espionage we're talking here.
He might as well have not even bothered.
No, just walk in. It's like, hi, I'm Paul Kersey, and I'm here to shoot that fucker. It would have been served as purposes just as well.
Here, you see that cunt over there? Yeah, I'm here for him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. By the way, I'm Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to put holes in someone today. It can be him or it can be you.
His mustache would have broken down the fence. But anyway, Bronson, he goes in to the hospital and he goes, "I'm here to see Mr. Nirvana," or whatever, and the security guard kind of goes, yeah, all right. I believe you that you're you, kind of, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, and then he goes, they're walking towards the interview room, and Kersey goes, "What's that shit back there?" And he goes, "Oh, that's for the electroshock treatment." She'd never been eating that now, sir, would you?
Yeah. Foreshadowing!
Yeah, oh, God, I'm surprised the fucking lights in the house didn't go out. There was so much shadowing going on.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of Michael Winner holding your hand through a scene, and the idea of Michael Winner holding my hand is frankly fucking horrifying.
Yeah, he's a fucking liver spotted paw.
Oh.
But anyway, Bronson goes in to interview him, and sadly, there was a moment here that I thought was missed. Alright, if you had walked in and Nirvana had been reading the paper or whatever, and he just goes, "So, where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And it just plugs him, But he runs in, pulls his fucking piece, and the guy kicks the table. He's sitting up in front of him.
Yeah, Nirvana's a fucking beast.
Yeah, and the two of these dudes proceed to have a fucking awesome fight.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. The fight is not the problem with this scene. The fight is fucking cool.
Yeah. It's full on.
Yeah.
Kersey takes damage.
And, and he fucking gives some as well.
Oh, yeah. There's a bit where, in modern action movies and stuff, you see a lot of really well choreographed fight scenes,
Yeah.
you know, where his flips and flops and whatever else. This scene is, there's literally like a minute of Nirvana on the ground, and Kersey's just kicking them in the fucking face.
This is a vicious scramble, which is what a fight really is.
It's realistic,
yeah,
because it's just like, right, get your fucking shit in.
Exactly.
You know, like I remember watching The Raid, which is a wonderful film.
Absolutely.
But there's a bit near the end where they're fighting that guy, the butcher guy, or the Mad Dog.
Yeah, yeah.
And the two guys are fighting this guy, and they keep on pulling him up off the ground.
Yeah.
Because the fight scene needs for him to be standing. Right?
Yeah.
But when I was watching it, and I used to do judo, so I was used to fighting on the ground. I was like, jump on him, fucking armbar, like, you know.
I from my experience of being in street fights, it's just sort of fucking stomp on him.
But this is the thing, Kersey doesn't go. There's nothing fancy about what he's doing here. He's just kicking the fuck out of him, like, you know. But Nirvana, of course, gets up. He's got a shiv. He's stabbing at Paul Kersey. He fucking rips his shoulder out, like, you know. The two of them brawl to the back.
Yeah.
And what's called there again? This is a great fight. Like there's fucking guns and knives and tables and whatever else. Like a proper end fight.
Yeah.
You know? And then
this guy is the final boss.
Yeah. And the guy anyway, he swings for Paul, misses, and punches into an electroshock machine.
Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, Paul just happens to fall beside the switch.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, guess what happens next? If you're thinking...
I'm just saying, if you're thinking maybe the Kiss song Shock Me would be a good soundtrack for this, you'd be right.
Yeah. Or anything by the band Electric Eel Shock. You know, anything.
Or Electric Six.
Yeah.
Which is, we were talking about your man earlier on, who ran the gay bar in Deadwood.
Exactly.
We're all good here. There's a lot of electric songs, you know. Fucking, there's a band, Electric Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Very, you know.
But like, if memory serves, this is how James Bond got rid of Oddjob in Goldfinger.
Is it?
You know, the fucking, with the hat and the metal bars and shit.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, up until now, however over the top this shit got, it was still feasible. And then this shit happens.
I don't know. I mean, it's not that bad. It's not like...
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's fucking ridiculous. And it kind of took me out of the movie. You know?
Yeah, but I didn't have a problem with it. I like he electrocutes him. The sad thing is, though, I wanted him to fucking blow his head off.
Yeah.
But just because that's the Paul Kersey way, you know. But
however, after this, there is what I think is a really cool scene.
Where the orderly comes in.
Yeah, the orderly comes in. And Kersey, he's lost a lot of blood, and he kind of realizes he's fucked.
Yeah.
And he just sits down on the chair, slumped, kind of defeated.
Yeah.
About as close as Paul Kersey ever gets to being defeated.
Oh yeah.
And without even looking up, he just goes, "He raped and murdered my daughter."
Yeah.
And your man takes this in, and he stares at him and is like, "I'll give you 3 minutes."
Yeah.
And it's such a fun, you know.
Oh, it's great. It's really well done, you know.
And more action movies need to do this. Just like sparse dialogue, just, you know, all in the fucking, you know, all in the reaction. And it's a fucking great scene. I don't know who the orderly is, but he's a damn good actor.
It's weird, like, this film is, and the Death Wish movies in particular are, and we're at the end here, obviously. The Jill Ireland, her character, she finds some of his fake IDs, so she realizes, and she hears on the radio that Nirvana's been killed, so she kind of works it out because she suspected throughout the film that he is killing all these dudes.
Well, Ochoa kind of said, he came to visit her.
Yeah. And he's there going, no, I ain't killing people. And yeah, whatever.
Of course not.
You know, but she finds the thing, she leaves the engagement ring behind. Best decision she ever made in her fucking life.
Fuck yeah.
You know, if she'd have went down to Mexico, she would have ended up in a fucking bathtub with her fucking kidneys removed. And, you know, it would not have been a good fucking time for her.
Oh, like, Christ,
you know,
no.
Like, it's kind of an Incredible Hulk ending, where it's kind of a downer, like, you know.
In a way, yeah.
But I half expected the piano theme to start playing.
Yeah.
You know? But it's weird. Like, he gets away with it, but there's no victory almost.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same, like, early on in the film. He's not, like... it's not like he's taking pleasure in what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just like, I gotta do this because nobody else is gonna. You know? And
but there's no revulsion in it either, which is kind of weird.
He's just like, Paul Kersey is the other end of the dial.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are, it's the yin-yang thing, you know? And the thing about this movie does really well is there's a lot of scenes where they show scenes of Kersey getting ready, and there's like this psycho-style music playing in the background.
Yeah.
Because Kersey's the good guy, but there's a lot of darkness in him.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, it kind of reminded me of... You ever see that movie Maniac?
Yeah.
You know, the Jerry Spinell movie?
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of that a little bit, which is a very fucking unsettling thing.
Oh yeah, it's like, I don't know, like, he's kind of a fascinating character because he's able to be normal as well, you know, and like, it's just that thing where he's just like, I'll do this if I have to.
Like at the end of the movie, like the final bit of this movie is him at a ceremony for the unveiling of this building he was working on.
Yeah.
And his boss comes up to him and is like, well, we've got this thing on Tuesday night, you know?
Yeah.
Would you be, you know, we'd love it if you could join us. And he just goes, well, where else would I be?
Yeah, and then you see him on the streets again.
And it just cuts to, like, Bronson backlit against, like, this 5-story building, and he looks like he's 100 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it looks fucking amazing. But I'm not sure what to make of this movie, to be perfectly honest.
It's a troubling film.
Yeah.
In many respects, but
I mean,
Charles Bronson is so charismatic.
Yeah.
And so cool and such a great action star that he really does punch the film into the right directions when he's on screen.
The action, you know, he's brilliant in it. The action scenes, I should say, are...
Oh, that's the thing. You cannot take that away from Michael Winner.
Yeah.
That guy can direct action well.
Yes.
And
they're all tremendous. Like,
they're
all... You and I both have different favorites, and we like them all. I mean,
they're great. Like, and Death Wish 3 as well, which is not exactly a masterpiece of screenwriting.
Oh, Christ, no.
Or acting or whatever else. But the action scenes in it are fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
He knows how to put a film together that way. Like, some of the performances in this film are kind of ropey.
Yeah.
Some of the writing is
dire, there are holes in this plot bigger than the fucking holes that Kersey leaves in people.
Yeah, it's...
I mean... No, I was thinking about this. You know when the cop gets shot?
Yeah.
You know, he went to the LAPD. They know that the only reason he's in town is to investigate Paul Kersey.
Yeah.
If he fucking turns up dead, the first person they should look for is Paul fucking Kersey. Why was he still allowed to walk around?
Because
he's Bronson. That's the only fucking reason.
There's not a lot of you know, logic on show.
Yeah.
And the problem is they have pretensions towards being able to intelligently deal with like sexual assault and street crime and all that, but really it just ends up being exploitative trash. Like, you know? And it was rightfully called out for its content at the time.
Yeah.
However, it's also a fucking great action movie.
Yeah.
And
okay, if you can get over the first half hour of this movie, and that's a big fucking if now, because it's.
If you're on Tumblr, you're never going to watch it.
It's not. Yeah, Christ no. You might if you're on the red pill, but
don't stop fucking associating.
I'm sorry. It just keeps coming up and as a fucking gag. Sorry, okay, but
I only shaved my neck earlier.
No, I'm just... If you can get past the first half hour of this movie...
Yeah.
You can... It's a really enjoyable, if sort of schlocky exploitation action movie.
Yep.
However, that's a big ask.
It depends on your capacity.
Yeah, and your fucking stomach.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway. Would you recommend it to people then, yeah?
I would.
Yeah, so I guess thumbs up for me.
Yeah. Now, granted, we did watch the unrated version this time out. So...
Oh, no, I saw the cut version. The unrated version would be the uncut.
Oh, no, the cut version I meant to say, sorry. And now, granted, if we're watching the uncut version, we may have a very different opinion of this film.
Yeah. Obviously, we've discussed Death Wish 2 at length, and I hope you'll indulge us with a little bit more of your time on this particular Friday as we Of course, it talked about Dusty Rhodes and the great Christopher Lee at the beginning of the show. And I hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about this. But the next film,
American Ninja.
Maestro, with the trailer, please.
For 2,000 years, the sacred art of the ninja has been guarded in the East.
Remember the day I found you.
Now, it has come to the West.
Remember what is hidden deep in your mind.
He is the only soldier.
Date of birth unknown.
The only American.
Who is he?
Who is capable of defeating the secret Black Star Army. The mission to hijack a U.S. military arsenal.
Your destiny, my son, awaits you.
The adventure. The confrontation. The code.
I will honor the code, Father.
The invasion. The final hour. The deadliest art of the Orient is now in the hands of an American warrior.
Okay, well, I'm sure you'll agree that's Jesus, I'm like Game and Mill there, but fantastic game. But yeah, I really agree that's a very interesting, if not spectacular film. Probably, I'm sure you can even tell how spectacular it is just by listening to it. But it's we're going to be coming back in 2 weeks' time with a big muscle-bound
American Ninja
extravaganza from the director
American Ninja.
And I can't wait to talk about
American Ninja.
That's a movie I think we'll have a lot of fun talking about.
Mm.
If you want to stay in touch with us, you should obviously first of all be subscribed to the Giant Media Ball feed.
Of course.
And I haven't uploaded shows onto SoundCloud in a while. That's just because SoundCloud only allows us to keep 2 shows up at a time.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's because we haven't paid for it.
Yeah.
And we are cheap fuckers. So
cut into my cider money. Are you fucking well?
Yeah. But Scott Meany's purefiller.com is down from a DDoS attack, so
bunch of savages.
When that gets back up, I'm sure we'll be featured on it. You can follow us through the Canon Facebook page, which is facebook.com/the Canon. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm Johnny Capcom, and you can follow Sean on Twitter. He's Robot House Sean. And if you got any opinions or whatever on
American Ninja,
or even Death Wish 2, we'd like to hear them. So,
or any jokes we missed, any opinions that run contrary to us.
Yeah.
We just love a bit of feedback.
Yeah, it'd be great. And so we'll leave you with whatever is going to come after this, because we don't know, because we're not cutting the fucker. And we hope you had fun. We had fun recording it. And
absolutely.
I'll catch your ass down the road.
Bye.
See you later.
American ninja.